Elisha was known as a powerful prophet, a man whose word brought hope and transformation. News of his miracles and teachings spread quickly, reaching the ears of everyone, including a wealthy woman from the city. This woman, a respected citizen of Shunem, lived in a spacious house adorned with fine tapestries and well-kept gardens. Despite her wealth, she felt an inner emptiness, a search for something deeper and more meaningful in her life. When she heard about Elisha, she felt a calling she could not ignore. Her faith, though sincere, longed for a more direct connection with the divine, and the presence of such a revered prophet seemed to be the answer she sought. Determined to act on this newfound inspiration, she began to contemplate how she could support and honor Elisha's mission. She understood the importance of his presence not only for her own life, but for the entire community of Shunem. Knowing that a prophet's journey could be lonely and full of challenges, she decided to offer him a safe and welcoming refuge in her own home. With determination and generosity, the woman meticulously planned the hospitality she wanted to offer. She designated a special space in her residence, a spacious room on the second floor with large windows that let in sunlight and offered a serene view of the blooming gardens. This room would not just be a place to rest, but a sanctuary where Elisha could find peace and recharge his energies to continue his mission. On the day Elisha arrived in Shunem, the woman welcomed him with a warm smile and an open heart. She accompanied him to her house, introducing him to her family and offering him the room prepared with so much care. The table was set with delicious dishes made from the finest ingredients her home could offer, and an atmosphere of genuine hospitality enveloped everyone. Elisha, touched by the woman's generosity and sincerity, felt deeply grateful. He knew that finding such kindness was a rare blessing and that the woman of Shunem was not only offering a temporary home but also valuable spiritual support. This hospitality established a powerful connection between them, an alliance of faith and mutual respect that would be rewarded in ways they could not yet imagine. As the woman of Shunem watched Elisha settle into his new space, she felt renewed hope. The prophet's presence in her home would not only strengthen her own faith, but also bring blessings to the entire community. She believed that through her generosity, she was contributing to a greater purpose, aligning herself with the divine plans that Elisha represented. Shunem was a prosperous city, known for its beautiful landscapes and the hospitality of its residents. The dirt streets were lined with stone and wood houses, with vibrant markets where merchants sold everything from exotic spices to fine fabrics. The woman of Shunem was known for her kindness and generosity. Even though she was wealthy, she never hesitated to help those in need and always sought ways to contribute to the well-being of her community. Her faith was unshakable, and she frequently participated in worship services and prayers, seeking divine guidance in her daily life. Elisha traveled from city to city, sharing God's messages and performing miracles that demonstrated divine power. His reputation as a man of God was widely recognized, and many sought his guidance and blessing. When Elisha arrived at the house of the woman of Shunem, he was greeted with respect and admiration. The woman offered him a refreshing drink and a comfortable place to rest, showing attention to detail that reflected her genuine concern for the prophet's well-being. Elisha felt truly welcomed by the woman of Shunem. Her hospitality was not just a social obligation, but an act of faith and devotion that he deeply valued. He knew that this relationship would be fundamental to the future events that would bring transformation to the woman and her family. The discovery of Elisha by the woman of Shunem was the beginning of a journey of faith, generosity, and miracles. Her decision to offer hospitality to a prophet not only changed her own life, but also became an inspiring example of how acts of kindness and faith can open doors to divine blessings. This story reminds us of the power of generosity and the importance of recognizing and supporting those who bring light and hope to our communities. If you are feeling motivated and inspired by this content, make sure to check if you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss more videos like this. We will bring a series of content with biblical teachings and inspiring stories that motivate us to continue and not give up. Let us proceed with the story. The generosity of the woman of Shunem is a brilliant example of how kindness and hospitality can transform lives and strengthen bonds of faith. Determined to honor the prophet Elisha, she spared no effort to demonstrate her dedication and respect. Let us delve deeper into this crucial moment of the story, exploring every detail that reveals the magnitude of her generosity. From the moment the woman heard about Elisha's arrival in Shunem, her heart was filled with a burning desire to help him. She knew that the presence of such a revered prophet could bring blessings not only to her family but to the entire community. With this noble intention, she began to meticulously plan how she could offer the best possible hospitality. She decided to build a special room in her house, dedicated exclusively to Elisha. This would not be an ordinary room, She wanted it to be a true sanctuary where the prophet could rest and feel welcomed. With the help of her servants, she chose the second floor of the house, away from the daily hustle and bustle, ensuring privacy and tranquility. The space was carefully prepared with comfortable furniture, soft cushions, and curtains that allowed gentle natural light to enter. The generosity of the Woman of Shunem was not limited to building the room. She knew that offering quality food was an essential part of hospitality. Thus, she began to plan a banquet that Elisha and his companions could enjoy during their stay. She selected the best ingredients available in the local market: fine grains, juicy fruits, meat seasoned with aromatic spices, and freshly baked bread. Her kitchen transformed into a true culinary stage, where pots simmered with nutritious soups and ovens baked delicious breads and cakes. Each dish was prepared with care and love, reflecting her dedication to providing a memorable meal. In addition to the room and meals, the Woman of Shunem endeavored to create a welcoming environment for Elisha. She decorated the house with fresh flowers from the gardens, spreading soft fragrances that filled the air. Tables were set with clean, well-ironed linens, shiny utensils, and lit candles that added a touch of warmth and soft lighting to the room. To ensure maximum comfort, she provided soft blankets for cold nights and fans for warm days, thinking of every detail that could make Elisha's stay as pleasant as possible. Small gestures, such as adjusting the curtains to control the sunlight or ensuring that fresh water was always available, demonstrated her meticulous attention and deep respect for the prophet. On the day Elisha arrived in Shunem, the woman welcomed him with a warm smile and a sincere embrace. She accompanied him through the house, introducing him to her family and showing him the special room she had prepared. Her eyes sparkled with joy and gratitude as she saw Elisha's reaction to her generosity. During the first meal, the table was a true feast of flavors and aromas. The Woman of Shunem conversed with Elisha, asking about his journey and listening attentively to his words of wisdom. Her hospitality was not just material but also spiritual, offering a space where Elisha could share his experiences and strengthen his mission. The generosity of the Woman of Shunem did not go unnoticed by the community. Her neighbors and friends admired how she dedicated time and resources to support Elisha. Inspired by her example, other residents also began to offer their help, creating a support network that strengthened faith and unity in the city. This altruistic attitude not only benefited Elisha, but also brought a wave of positivity and hope to Shunem. The prophet's presence, supported by the woman's generosity, began to transform the lives of everyone around her, fostering an environment where faith and solidarity flourished. The story of the Woman of Shunem teaches us that true generosity goes beyond simple acts of donation. It is a deep commitment to support and honor those who bring light and hope to our lives. Her dedication to building a special room, preparing delicious food, and creating a welcoming environment reflects a heart full of love and faith, ready to receive and bless. The generosity of the Woman of Shunem is a powerful testament to how small acts of kindness can have lasting and significant impacts. Her actions not only transformed Elisha's life, but also inspired the entire community to follow her example of hospitality and faith. This story reminds us of the importance of opening our hearts and homes to those in need, trusting that through our good deeds, we can be instruments of divine blessings. The generosity of the Woman of Shunem invites us to reflect on how we can, in our own lives, be sources of support and kindness to others. By extending a hand with sincerity and love, we not only enrich the lives of those who receive, but also strengthen our own faith and connection with the divine. Elisha's gratitude is a profound testament to the impact that acts of kindness can have on a person's life. Moved by the generosity and hospitality of the Woman of Shunem, Elisha not only recognized her kindness but also decided to reciprocate in a way that transcends the material, demonstrating the depth of faith and divine reciprocity. From the moment Elisha entered the house of the Woman of Shunem, he felt deeply touched by her hospitality. It was not just the abundant food or the comfortable room she offered, but the sincerity and devotion with which she received him. Elisha realized that her generosity came from a heart genuinely open to serve and support God's work. As he enjoyed the meticulously prepared meals and rested in the special room, Elisha reflected on the importance of such gestures in spreading faith and building a united community. He knew that the Woman of Shunem was not just offering hospitality to a traveling prophet, but also investing in the divine mission he represented. Moved by this realization, Elisha felt a strong need to reciprocate the generosity shown to him. He believed that God had placed that woman in his path for a specific reason, and that her kindness would be rewarded in a significant way. With this conviction, Elisha decided to pray to God, seeking guidance on how he could honor the Woman of Shunem in a way that reflected the greatness of his faith. In a moment of deep prayer and meditation, Elisha lifted his prayers to the heavens, thanking God for the hospitality received and asking that his blessings be poured upon the woman's life. He specifically requested that she be blessed with a child, recognizing that motherhood was one of the greatest blessings a woman could receive. His prayer was not just a request but an expression of faith in God's ability to intervene and transform lives. Elisha believed that by praying for her, he was strengthening the divine connection between God and the woman of Shunem, creating a bond of gratitude and reciprocity that would transcend future challenges. Elisha's decision to reciprocate the hospitality of the woman of Shunem highlights the importance of reciprocity in good deeds. In biblical tradition, acts of kindness are not just isolated gestures, but part of a continuous chain of generosity and mutual blessings. Elisha understood that by blessing the woman, he was participating in this divine dynamic of giving and receiving, strengthening both their faiths and fostering an environment of support and trust in God. Before the blessing could be realized, Elisha continued to nurture the relationship of trust and respect with the woman of Shunem. He spent time in her home, sharing teachings and providing spiritual counsel that helped the woman grow in her faith. This preparation not only reinforced Elisha's gratitude, but also solidified the foundation for the miracle that was to come. Elisha's gratitude goes beyond a simple thank you. It is a manifestation of his deep understanding of the divine laws of reward and blessing. He recognizes that the woman's generosity was not just an act of human kindness, but an expression of God's will to bless those who serve and honor him. Elisha's gratitude is a crucial link in the narrative of the woman of Shunem, demonstrating how reciprocity and faith intertwine to bring divine blessings. By recognizing and reciprocating the woman's generosity, Elisha not only strengthens his own mission as a prophet, but also paves the way for a miracle that will transform the lives of all involved. This part of the story teaches us that true gratitude is a powerful force that can attract divine intervention, rewarding acts of kindness with blessings that go beyond human understanding. Elisha's gratitude inspires us to recognize and value the good deeds in our lives. By reciprocating generosity with faith and meaningful actions, we not only strengthen our bonds with others but also align ourselves with divine plans, allowing God's blessings to flow through our lives. The moment Elisha decides to make his request to God is a turning point in the story of the woman of Shunem. This act of faith not only demonstrates the depth of Elisha's connection with the divine, but also reflects the woman's unwavering trust in God's intervention in her life. Let us explore this crucial moment in rich detail, capturing the essence of the narrative in an engaging and dynamic way. After spending days in the house of the woman of Shunem, Elisha felt deeply touched by the generosity and hospitality that had been offered to him. It was not just the delicious food or the comfortable room he received, but the pure intention and generous heart behind every gesture. Elisha realized that the woman was not merely fulfilling a social obligation, but was genuinely committed to supporting his divine mission. Moved by this perception, Elisha felt a strong need to reciprocate the kindness that had been shown to him. He knew that acts of generosity like those of the woman of Shunem were blessed by God, and he wished for these blessings to extend even further into her life. With this intention in mind, Elisha decided to pray to God, seeking a way to reward the hospitality received in a significant and spiritual manner. Elisha chose a quiet moment to perform his prayer. As night fell, when the house was silent and the moon gently illuminated the gardens of Shunem, he retreated to a serene corner of his special room. The candlelight cast dancing shadows on the walls, creating an atmosphere conducive to communion with God. With his eyes closed and his heart full of gratitude, Elisha began his prayer. With a firm and faithful voice, Elisha lifted his request to the heavens. He thanked God for the generosity of the woman of Shunem and for the opportunity to be there, sharing moments of peace and spirituality. He then expressed his deepest desire, that the woman be blessed with a child. "Lord," he said, "I see the kindness of this woman and the faith she demonstrates. I ask that you bless her life with the gift of motherhood, so that she may experience the joy of raising a child under your protection and love." This request was not just a simple prayer, it was an expression of the deep connection Elisha had with God. As a prophet, Elisha was constantly in tune with the divine will, and his prayers reflected this harmony. He knew that God heard his pleas and responded according to his wisdom and mercy. Elisha's trust in divine power was evident in every word he spoke. At the same time, the woman of Shunem also demonstrated unwavering faith in God's intervention in her life. From the moment she decided to offer hospitality to Elisha, she believed she was following a greater purpose. Her trust was not just in her own ability to help, but in the certainty that God would reward her generosity. This trust was fundamental for her to accept Elisha's request, hoping with hope and faith for what was to come. Elisha's request goes beyond a simple personal blessing. It symbolizes reciprocity in good deeds and the importance of recognizing and thanking the kindness received. By praying for the woman of Shunem, Elisha was strengthening the divine bond between God and the woman, creating a dynamic of faith and mutual trust. This act of reciprocation reflects the divine laws of giving and receiving, where every act of kindness sows the seeds of future blessings. After making his request, Elisha continued to live in the house of the woman of Shunem with a spirit of prayer and expectation. He knew that the answer to his prayer might take time, and therefore, he spent his days teaching and guiding the family, further strengthening everyone's faith around him. The woman, in turn, kept alive the hope that her request would be answered, caring for the prophet with even more dedication and affection. This moment in the story invites us to reflect on the intersection between faith and generosity. The woman of Shunem, by offering hospitality to Elisha, was not only helping a prophet but also demonstrating a faith that believed in God's promises. Elisha, in turn, by praying for her, was acknowledging that her good deeds did not go unnoticed and that God would reward them according to his will. Elisha's request is a milestone in the story of the woman of Shunem, symbolizing the reciprocity of good deeds and the powerful connection between faith and divine intervention. This moment lays the foundation for the miracle that is to come, showing that acts of generosity and true faith have the power to attract God's blessings. Through this request, Elisha not only rewards the received hospitality but also strengthens the family's faith, preparing the ground for the manifestation of divine power in their lives. Elisha's request teaches us about the importance of recognizing and valuing acts of kindness in our lives. By praying and reciprocating generosity with faith, we create bonds of trust and openness to divine blessings, demonstrating that faith and reciprocity are fundamental to a full and blessed life. Do you feel any resemblance between your current life and the story told? Do you feel you are experiencing something similar? Tell us how you feel. If you need a prayer or help, share a story of overcoming to inspire us and give strength to not give up. Comment if you want to help someone or need help. The story of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha reaches a climax when Elisha's prayer is answered, and the woman gives birth to a boy. This event not only marks the fulfillment of a fervent request but also symbolizes the realization of divine promises, bringing a wave of joy and gratitude that profoundly transforms the family's life and strengthens their faith. Let us explore this special moment in rich detail, capturing the essence of the joy of motherhood and the spiritual impact of this blessing. After Elisha's prayer, the woman of Shunem and her family lived in a state of expectation and renewed hope. The days following the divine blessing were marked by an atmosphere of optimism and gratitude. Each dawn brought with it the expectation of new blessings, and the house was always filled with laughter and prayers of thanksgiving. The woman, who previously lived without children, dedicated herself lovingly to preparing for the baby's arrival. Her heart was full of joy and anticipation, and every gesture of care reflected her deep love and faith. She spent hours tending to the garden, cultivating flowers and herbs that symbolized renewal and life, preparing the perfect environment to receive the long-awaited gift. Finally, the day arrived. The woman of Shunem felt the first contractions at dawn. With the help of her family and loyal servants, she prepared to give birth. The house, already blessed with Elisha's presence, was now imbued with an atmosphere of celebration and joy. The birth was accompanied by moments of intense emotion. The woman, though exhausted, felt a supernatural strength guiding her through the process. The voices of her family filled the air with words of encouragement and praise, while the servants offered comfort and support. Finally, with a victorious cry, the boy was born, healthy and strong, bringing tears of happiness to his mother's eyes. The arrival of the boy was celebrated with great joy and gratitude. The family of Shunem organized a simple but meaningful party, where friends and neighbors gathered to share in the happiness of this special moment. The tables were filled with delicious foods prepared with so much care, reflecting the generosity and kindness of the woman who had blessed everyone with her hospitality. Elisha, present at the celebration, blessed the family with words of faith and hope. He spoke about the miracle that had occurred, emphasizing that the boy's life was a testament to divine intervention and a reward for the woman of Shunem's generosity and hospitality. His presence and words further strengthened the family's faith, uniting them in collective gratitude. The blessing of having a child brought a profound transformation to the family of Shunem. The woman, who once felt an emptiness in her life, now found herself enveloped by the love and responsibility of raising a child under God's blessings. Every smile of the boy was a constant reminder of divine kindness and the importance of unwavering faith. The following days were marked by a routine of love and care. The woman dedicated herself to teaching the boy about faith, sharing stories and teachings she had learned through her interaction with Elisha. The boy grew up in an environment of love, faith, and gratitude, becoming a living symbol of the fulfilled divine promise. The joy of motherhood not only transformed the life of the family of Shunem, but also had a significant impact on the surrounding community. The story of the boy's miracle spread quickly, inspiring others to practice generosity and hospitality. The woman of Shunem became a living example of how faith and good deeds can bring unimaginable blessings. Elisha, seeing the transformation his blessing had brought, continued to minister in the community with a renewed sense of purpose. He frequently visited the house of the woman of Shunem, sharing moments of joy and reinforcing the importance of faith and gratitude. Elisha's presence and the story of the boy became a continuous source of inspiration for everyone in Shunem. The joy of motherhood in the story of the woman of Shunem is more than the celebration of a birth. It is the tangible manifestation of kindness, faith, and divine reciprocity. The birth of the boy symbolizes the reward for good deeds and the certainty that God hears and responds to the prayers of those who trust Him wholeheartedly. This moment of joy and gratitude reinforces the central message of the story. Generosity and hospitality are virtues that not only benefit those who practice them but also attract divine blessings that transform lives and strengthen entire communities. The joy of motherhood in the story of the woman of Shunem and Elisha is a powerful testament to the impact of faith and generosity. The birth of the boy not only brought happiness to the family, but also served as a beacon of hope and inspiration for the entire community. This narrative teaches us that through kindness and faith, we can experience miracles and blessings that strengthen our trust in divine promises. The joy of motherhood reminds us of the transformative power of faith and good deeds. When we act with generosity and open our hearts to others, we are sowing the seeds of divine blessings that, over time, bloom into moments of great joy and gratitude. May we follow the example of the woman of Shunem, trusting in God's promises and living a life of generosity and faith. The story of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha is filled with moments of deep faith, generosity, and divine miracles. However, not everything remains in perfect harmony. The tragedy of the child's death introduces a moment of pain and suffering that tests the resilience of the woman's faith and the community of Shunem. This chapter of the story reveals human fragility in the face of loss and the depth of trust in God even in the darkest moments. After weeks of happiness and adapting to the new routine with a newborn, the family of the woman of Shunem began to notice worrying changes in the boy's health. Initially, small signs of weakness were easily ignored, but as days passed, his condition worsened alarmingly. The boy, who was once full of life and energy, now exhibited a high fever and a weakness that concerned everyone around him. The woman, deeply blessed to have finally fulfilled her desire for motherhood, felt devastated seeing her son suffer. She spent sleepless nights watching over the boy and praying incessantly for his recovery. The house, which had been a refuge of joy and gratitude, transformed into an environment of anguish and worry. The boy's health deteriorated rapidly. The local doctor, who had previously seen the child as a symbol of blessing, was now faced with a complicated case. Medical interventions were limited, and in the absence of advanced knowledge, the available treatments did little to help the child recover. The persistent fever did not subside, and the muscular weakness worsened, leaving the boy increasingly fragile. The woman, despite unbearable pain, maintained her unshakable faith. She believed that God was with her and her son, and that, even amidst adversity, there was a divine purpose. Her prayers became more fervent and frequent, seeking comfort and strength to face the possible loss of her beloved child. In the desperate situation, the woman of Shunem decided to seek Elisha's spiritual help once more. She knew that the prophet had brought miracles and blessings to her family, and her faith compelled her to believe that perhaps God could intervene again. With a heavy heart, she summoned Elisha to her home, hoping that his presence could bring relief or a solution to her son's suffering. Elisha, upon being informed of the boy's condition, felt a mix of sadness and responsibility. He knew that life is precious and that every soul is a divine gift. Determined to help, he made his way to the house of the woman of Shunem, bringing with him renewed hope that a miracle could happen once more. When Elisha arrived, the atmosphere in the house was filled with tension and sorrow. The woman of Shunem greeted him with a look of despair, her tears reflecting the pain of losing her son. The family was gathered around the boy's bed, their silent prayers mingling with sighs of anguish. Elisha, observing the scene, felt the weight of the situation. He knew that his presence did not guarantee a miracle, but his faith drove him to act. With a compassionate heart, he approached the boy, placing his hands on the fragile little figure. He began to pray fervently, asking God to grant strength and healing to the child. Despite the sincere efforts and prayers, the boy's health continued to decline inexorably. On a silent night, the child took his last breath, leaving the family in a state of shock and profound sorrow. The house, once a place of so much joy and gratitude, was now enveloped in a dark and painful silence. The woman of Shunem, in particular, was torn apart by grief. The boy she had awaited with so much love and hope was no longer there. Her prayers were not enough to prevent the loss, and she found herself confronting the reality of mortality and human fragility. However, even amidst the pain, her faith remained, though shaken. The boy's death brought a wave of sadness that quickly spread through the family and the community of Shunem. Friends and neighbors expressed their condolences, offering words of comfort and support. However, the words often seemed empty in the face of the real and tangible pain the family was experiencing. The woman of Shunem, despite her unwavering faith, struggled to find solace. She questioned why she had suffered this loss and tried to understand the divine purpose behind the tragedy. Her faith, though tested, remained a source of strength, but the pain of the loss weighed heavily on her heart, leaving her in a state of spiritual and emotional vulnerability. This moment of tragedy in the story of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha offers a profound reflection on the fragility of life and the inevitability of death. Even moments of greatest joy and gratitude can be followed by moments of pain and loss. The story reminds us that life is a journey of highs and lows, of blessings and challenges, and that faith is often tested in the most difficult moments. Despite the overwhelming pain, the woman of Shunem did not give up her faith. She continued to seek comfort and understanding, maintaining her trust in God even when the answers seemed distant. Her story is a testament to human resilience and the ability to find hope even in the most desperate circumstances. Elisha, in turn, was deeply impacted by the loss of the boy. He acknowledged that, despite his faith and fervent prayers, God's will is not always revealed or understood immediately. His sadness reflected the reality that not all requests are granted in the way we desire, and that true faith involves trusting in God even when we do not understand His ways. The tragedy of the child's death in the story of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha serves as a powerful reminder of life's impermanence and the importance of maintaining faith even in the face of pain and loss. This painful event adds depth to the narrative, showing that the journey of faith is complex and multifaceted, involving both moments of great joy and deep sorrow. The tragedy of the child's death invites us to reflect on the fragility of life and the importance of maintaining faith even in the most difficult times. It reminds us that despite losses and pains, faith can be a source of strength and hope, helping us navigate life's storms with confidence in God's presence and love. Like if you are enjoying, so YouTube can continue to recommend videos like this, and it will be helping us and motivating us to continue. We thank you for every second and may God bless you. The story of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha is marked by moments of deep faith, generosity, and divine miracles. However, the journey of faith faces one of its greatest challenges when the boy blessed by the woman of Shunem falls ill and dies suddenly. In this moment of despair, Elisha demonstrates the true essence of faith and divine intercession by not giving up and seeking God's help to bring the boy back to life. Let us explore this crucial chapter in rich detail, capturing the emotional and spiritual intensity of this act of faith. After weeks of joy with the birth of the boy, the family of the woman of Shunem faces a storm of sadness. The boy, who was once a living symbol of divine blessing, now struggles against an unrelenting illness. The house, once filled with laughter and gratitude, transforms into an environment of constant pain and worry. The woman of Shunem, despite her unshakable faith, finds herself consumed by the anguish of seeing her son suffer. Elisha, upon learning of the boy's critical condition, feels a mix of sadness and responsibility. As a prophet, he understands that every life is precious in God's eyes, and the possibility of bringing a child back to life is a sacred mission. Determined to act, Elisha decides not to distance himself from the family in their time of need. He believes that faith and intercession are powerful tools that can bring relief and possibly a miracle. That night, the house of Shunem is enveloped in heavy silence. The candles flicker, casting dancing shadows on the walls as the family gathers around the boy's bed. Elisha, aware of the gravity of the situation, prepares for his prayer with a mix of humility and fervor. He finds a moment of tranquility, closing his eyes and centering himself in his connection with God. With a heavy heart and a focused mind, Elisha begins his prayer. His words are filled with emotion and faith, reflecting the depth of his belief in divine power. He prays intensely, asking God to intercede on behalf of the boy, granting him strength and healing. "Lord," he begins, "you are the God who resurrects the dead and brings life where there is death. I come before you in the name of this child, asking that your mercy and power manifest once again. Let your will be done, and may this boy live to serve your cause." Elisha is not alone in his intercession. He is deeply connected with the divine, feeling God's presence around him. This connection strengthens his faith and gives him the necessary confidence to believe that his request will be answered. He understands that intercession is not just an individual action, but a bridge between humanity and the supreme power of God. His prayer is an expression of pure faith, a testament to his unwavering belief in divine promises. As Elisha continues his prayer, a sense of peace begins to fill the house. The atmosphere changes, charged with a spiritual energy that transcends the pain and despair. God hears Elisha's intercession and responds according to his will and mercy. A soft glow envelopes the boy, and a feeling of life and energy returns to his weak body. The impossible is about to happen, the resurrection. With a deep sigh, the boy begins to move, breathing more strongly and regaining his vigor. The family, astonished, watches the miracle unfold before their eyes. The woman of Shunem, still choking back tears from the impending loss, sees life returning to her son and feels immense relief mixed with indescribable gratitude and joy. Elisha, witnessing the miracle, feels blessed and reaffirms his faith in divine intercession. Elisha's intercession is not just an act of faith, but also a demonstration of the power of prayer and the importance of seeking divine help in moments of despair. His action reflects the belief that God is always present, ready to hear and respond to the pleas of the faithful. Elisha shows that true faith is persevering, even in the face of the greatest adversities, and that trust in God can bring hope and transformation. This moment in the story of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha invites us to reflect on the nature of faith and intercession. Faith is not just a passive belief, but an active force that drives individuals to act and seek the divine in times of need. Elisha's intercession is an inspiring example of how prayer and trust in God can overcome even the barriers of death, bringing life and renewal. Elisha's intercession is one of the most powerful moments in the narrative of the woman of Shunem, demonstrating the power of faith and the importance of seeking divine help in moments of despair. This act of fervent prayer not only brings the boy back to life, but also strengthens the faith of the entire family and the community of Shunem. The story reminds us that even in the darkest moments, faith and intercession can bring light and hope, transforming lives in extraordinary ways. Elisha's intercession teaches us about the importance of not giving up in moments of despair and seeking divine help with faith and trust. This act of fervent prayer and the subsequent manifestation of a miracle inspire us to believe in the power of faith and the possibility of transformation through divine intercession. May we follow Elisha's example, keeping our faith alive and seeking God's presence in all situations of our lives. The story of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha culminates in one of the most emotional and inspiring moments, the resurrection of the boy. This miracle not only brings immense relief and joy to the family of the woman of Shunem, but also powerfully reaffirms the message of generosity, hospitality, and the power of divine intercession. Let us explore this transformative moment in rich detail, capturing the depth of faith and the magnitude of the unfolding miracle. The house of Shunem, which had been blessed with the joy of a new birth, was now enveloped in sadness and despair. The woman of Shunem, devastated by the loss of her son, found herself in a state of deep pain. Her faith, though tested, remained firm, driving her to seek spiritual help once more. Elisha, moved by compassion and spiritual responsibility, knew that the only hope lay in divine intervention. The morning following the boy's death, Elisha returned to the house of the woman of Shunem with renewed determination. He knew that what was to come would require not only faith, but also a deep understanding of God's will. The family gathered once again around the boy's bed, their prayers and sighs filling the air with a mix of hope and despair. Elisha, with his calm and serene presence, began to pray intensely. His words were filled with spiritual authority and an unwavering faith in God's ability to perform miracles. He raised his hands in worship and intercession, deeply connecting with the divine. "Lord," he cried, "you are the God who resurrects the dead and brings life where there is death. I come in the name of this boy, asking that your mercy and power manifest once more." As Elisha continued his fervent prayer, a soft and celestial light began to envelop the house. The atmosphere was charged with a palpable spiritual energy, as if God's very presence was manifesting. The family watched in a trance-like state as life seemed to return to the boy's weak body. Suddenly, the boy began to breathe again, his chest rising and falling with renewed vitality. His eyes opened, shining with life and recognition, and an innocent smile lit up his face. The house, which had been filled with sadness, erupted in indescribable joy and relief. The woman of Shunem fell to her knees, embracing her son with tears of happiness streaming down her face. The entire family united in a chorus of gratitude and praise, acknowledging the miracle that had just occurred. News of the boy's resurrection spread quickly through Shunem, bringing a wave of celebration and admiration. Friends, neighbors, and community members gathered to witness the miracle and share in the family's joy. The house of the woman of Shunem became a living symbol of divine kindness and the importance of faith. Elisha, present at the celebration, blessed the family with words of faith and hope. He explained that the miracle was a confirmation of the generosity and hospitality of the woman of Shunem and a testament to the power of divine intercession. His words resonated deeply within the community, inspiring others to practice generosity and maintain faith even in the most challenging times. The resurrection of the boy was not just an isolated miracle, but a powerful testament to the victory of faith over death and despair. The woman of Shunem, who had demonstrated unwavering faith and boundless generosity, saw her prayers answered in a way that transcended her human understanding. This event strengthened her faith and that of her family, creating an even deeper bond with God and with Elisha. The story of the boy's resurrection brought significant transformation to the community of Shunem. Inspired by the miracle and the woman's faith, the residents began to practice more generous hospitality and strengthen their own faith. Elisha's presence in the city became even more meaningful, as he continued to be a spiritual guide and a source of inspiration for all. The joy of motherhood in the story of the woman of Shunem is more than the celebration of a birth. It is the tangible manifestation of kindness, faith, and divine reciprocity. The birth of the boy symbolizes the reward for good deeds and the certainty that God hears and responds to the prayers of those who trust Him wholeheartedly. This moment of joy and gratitude reinforces the central message of the story. Generosity and hospitality are virtues that not only benefit those who practice them but also attract divine blessings that transform lives and strengthen entire communities. The resurrection of the boy in the story of the woman of Shunem and Elisha is a powerful testament to the power of faith and divine intercession. This miracle not only brought joy and relief to a grieving family, but also reaffirmed the importance of living a life of generosity and hospitality. The story teaches us that through faith and good deeds, we can attract God's blessings and experience victory over adversities. The resurrection of the boy in the story of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha is a milestone of faith, generosity, and divine intervention. This miracle reinforces the central message that acts of kindness and sincere faith are always rewarded by God in surprising and powerful ways. The story inspires us to keep our faith alive, practice generosity, and trust in divine promises, knowing that even in the greatest challenges, God is present to transform our lives in extraordinary ways. The resurrection and victory of faith in the story of the woman of Shunem remind us of the transformative power of generosity and true faith. By offering hospitality with an open heart and trusting in divine promises, we are blessed in ways that transcend our understanding. May we follow the example of the woman of Shunem and Elisha, living a life of generosity and faith, trusting that God will reward our good deeds with immense miracles and blessings. The story of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha is a living testament to the virtues of generosity and hospitality, as well as a powerful illustration of the impact of divine intercession. Throughout this narrative, we are invited to reflect on how small acts of kindness can trigger great miracles and transform lives in unimaginable ways. From the beginning, the woman of Shunem demonstrated a generosity that went beyond expectations. She not only offered shelter and food to Elisha, but also built a special room for him in her house. This gesture of generosity was not motivated by a desire for recognition or reward, but by a heart willing to serve and support the divine mission. Her action teaches us that true generosity is selfless and born from a genuine desire to help others. The hospitality of the woman of Shunem was a tangible expression of her faith. By opening her doors to a prophet, she not only welcomed a visitor, but also welcomed the presence of God into her life. Hospitality, in this context, became an act of worship and trust in divine promises. She believed that by serving Elisha, she was fulfilling a greater purpose and contributing to the spread of faith in her community. Elisha, recognizing the generosity of the woman, did not hesitate to intercede on her behalf before God. His prayer for her to have a child was answered, demonstrating that God rewards acts of kindness and faith. When the tragedy of the boy's death occurred, Elisha again turned to God in prayer, seeking the resurrection of the child. This moment highlighted the power of divine intercession and the importance of never giving up faith, even in the darkest moments. The woman of Shunem faced moments of immense joy and profound sadness, but her faith remained steadfast. Even in the face of losing her son, she did not abandon her trust in God. Her resilience is an inspiring example of how faith can sustain and strengthen a person during life's trials. The story reminds us that, regardless of circumstances, faith can be a source of hope and renewal. The relationship between the woman of Shunem and Elisha is a perfect example of the reciprocity of good deeds. Her generosity was reciprocated through God's blessings, showing that acts of kindness have positive consequences not only for those who receive them but also for those who practice them. This cycle of giving and receiving is fundamental to building a strong and united community where faith and solidarity prevail. The miracle of the boy's resurrection had a profound impact not only on the family of the woman of Shunem, but on the entire community of Shunem. The story served as a powerful testament to God's kindness and the importance of faith and generosity. Inspired by this event, other residents began to practice similar acts of hospitality and generosity, strengthening community bonds and promoting an environment of faith and cooperation. The narrative of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha invites us to look into our own lives and reflect on how we can incorporate these virtues into our daily routines. Generosity, hospitality, and faith are not just abstract concepts but concrete practices that have the power to transform lives and entire communities. By acting with kindness and opening our hearts to help others, we not only fulfill a moral duty but also make room for divine blessings to flow into our lives in surprising ways. The story of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha is an eloquent testimony of how generosity and faith can create miracles and strengthen community bonds. Even in the face of great adversities, such as loss and suffering, perseverance in faith and good deeds can bring unexpected blessings and miracles. This account inspires us to live a life of generosity and trust in God, reminding us that every act of kindness has the potential to sow seeds of hope and transformation. The story of the woman of Shunem and the prophet Elisha teaches us about the importance of generosity and hospitality, as well as highlighting the power of divine intercession. Even in the face of great adversities, faith and good deeds can bring unexpected blessings and miracles. May we follow the example of this blessed woman, living with generous and trusting hearts in God's promises, knowing that our acts of kindness and faith have the power to transform lives and inspire entire communities. Thank you for watching up to this point, and don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell to see more content like this and inspiring, motivational, and interesting overcoming stories. Until next time.